Hello Internet, in this video I'm going to be painting a Nurgle plague drone for my New Year New Army project. So, it is that time of year again when Games Workshop push their customers to spend even more money despite just having had Christmas on starting a brand new army. This is usually backed up with a new army box going on sale and a plethora of Warhammer community articles pushing the idea. Well, this year their marketing actually worked on me and I am starting a new army. Some of you may remember me painting some Seraphon models on this channel. That is the closest I have come to exploring Age of Sigmar, and unfortunately I did not enjoy painting those as much as I was expecting. However, on a whim I picked up a single model to try out different techniques and stuff on, and that model was a Lord of Plagues for the Maggotkin of Nurgle army in AOS. I enjoyed painting that model so much that I started investigating the lore of the army and then further exploring their model range. A week later and I had won a bidding war on eBay for the Start Collecting Nurgle Demons box and had bought myself the army book. Looks like I am starting a Nurgle army. As a result, over the next couple of months I will be sharing with you guys my journey into the Garden of Nurgle, starting today with the disgusting plague drones. The base colour that I decided to use for my plague drone is dark sea blue. I chose this for a couple of reasons. One, it's a nice dark blue-green colour that I think will work well in shadows on an army that is usually green. Two, I have had this paint for a while without using it and it keeps staring at me to be used, so let's use it. After having covered all the flesh areas with dark sea blue, I spray some Bugman's Glow from above to start hinting at volumes and create shadows from the previous colour. This first basing step is being done using an airbrush, and that is largely because I am lazy and want these models to be painted quicker. You can achieve the same result by using a big old brush and wet blending in Bugman's Glow. You by no means need to use an airbrush. Once we have a solid foundation down with a slight blend to show us what we are aiming for, it's time to start pushing the contrast, and I shall be doing this with a brush. With a 50-50 mix of Bugman's Glow and Kislev Flesh, I start to make quick, sharp movements with my brush in the upper facing areas of flesh in order to create a texture. These creatures in my mind should not have smooth skin, so I don't want a smooth transition between colours. Instead, I want to suggest a texture. This is why I've chosen to paint in small lines, kind of like feathering. I'm going to work my way up to the brightest colour using the same technique, covering less and less surface area each time to start concentrating the highlights. I make sure to mix each of the colours together as I progress to ensure a believable transition between colours. For example, after the Bugman's Glow and Kislev Flesh, I will do a layer of Kislev Flesh by itself, followed by a mix of Kislev Flesh and Pallid Witch Flesh. Littered all over the skin of this Nurgle unit are a myriad of spots, warts and zits, each of which is overly swollen and ripe for the popping. Painting these is fairly simple. The only time consuming bit is making sure you paint each one that is hidden all over the poor beast's body. I base coat every lump using Jacaro Orange, making sure to avoid the skin I have already painted. I left these areas in the colour of the dark sea blue when painting the flesh, as I knew it would be useful to have that colour as a shadow at the base of each spot. I apply a dab of Seraphim's sepia which darkens the orange a bit and tints the shadows to make the surrounding flesh look a little bit discoloured. Once the wash is dried, I go around and add a dot of Towelite Ochre to each spot as a highlight. The ones that face towards the body, I don't bother highlighting, as the light would be limited in that area, so it doesn't really need highlighting. As an additional step, you could add an even smaller dot of bone colour to really make these areas pop. Get it? Because it's a zit. Pop. All of those who worship Grandfather Nurgle long enough will begin to have their bodies twist and warp to match his beautifully disgusting designs. This often includes tears in the flesh that allow your insides to spill out. These plague drones, however, do not quite go this far, but do have deep fleshy craters on the sides of their abdomens. As these areas are largely hidden by the legs, I keep the paint really simple. I base coat all the interior flesh with Screamer Pink, and once dried, I wash over with Caribou Crimson. I also lightly wash the surrounding skin to tinge the area red, making it look sore and irritated. And as I said, these areas are mostly hidden, so I don't bother going any further than this. The wings that carry this putrid sack of pus are painted in a very similar way to the flesh. We start with a base of dark sea blue that is wet blended or airbrushed into Bugman's Glow. Once the base colours are dry, I dry brush the wings with a bone colour to bring out all the details, and then moved on to applying some wash. Near the edge of the wings, where the skin looks like it would be sore due to tearing, I applied some Caribou Crimson. Then from around halfway up the wing, I applied Seraphim Sepia to give a sickly yellow tint. I lightly blended the two colours where they meet to allow for a transition between the two. Once the washes were dry, I tried to bring back the details of the wings with a final dry brush of Pallid Witch Flesh. Now, something that you may be noticing as I go through what colours I am using is that I am repeatedly using the same colours. Now this will unify the colour scheme. And this is important to make the piece look believable, like it's something that could actually exist. Because by using consistent colours for your highlights, it suggests that there is a singular light source that is highlighting your miniature. The same goes for the shadow. The reason I've been using dark sea blue across the whole model is to use it as a mother colour. And this is a colour that you will use in almost every portion of your model or paint scheme in order to tie it together and make all the other colours seem more harmonious. On top of the flying beast sits a plague bearer, and I have to imagine that if it was sat directly on the skin, the demon would simply sink through the weakened flesh and become part of its mount. So instead, these plague drones have a hard shell on their backs, allowing for a rider to take charge. When painting these areas, I started out with a base coat of dark sea blue, like on the rest of the model, which was quickly followed up with a mix of the base colour and Vallejo's Emerald. This colour was used to cover most areas, leaving only the shadows in the colour of dark sea blue. The next step is to start to sketch small lines at the edge of each armour plate. I do this by using Vallejo's Emerald paint. I aim to create a pattern that looks somewhat natural while drawing the eyes to the edge of each section to help separate them in a more interesting way than just an edge highlight. You often see this technique used for the carapace of Tyranid models. I do a few more layers within the lines I just created using lighter paints each time, going from emerald mixing up to Pallid Witch Flesh, then finishing each armour plate with an edge highlight of Pallid Witch Flesh. Lastly, it was time to finish a few of the details, which included the eyes, teeth and weird stinger mouth thing. I used the same colours as the shell to simply paint the eyes and used a standard bone method for the teeth. The stinger mouth thing was done using Screamer Pink, highlighting up to a mix of Screamer Pink and Ushabti Bone. By using a range of techniques like layering, feathering and dry brushing, I think we got a nice result on this mini, and it has got me excited to dedicate more paint jobs to Grandpappy Nurgle. Within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be painting a plague bearer and making a video from that as well. I will also be making a video on how to paint Nurglings, So if you would like to see more Nurgle based how to paint videos that are coming from my New Year New Army project, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment down below on any suggestions or anything. I love hearing from you all, and I genuinely quite enjoy talking to you in the comments. Thank you all for watching this video, and until next time, I will see you later.